Captain Rick Rock TV. Let's get to the content.
Let's get down to business. We got new pictures. We have a new timeline. It was conversations about Nolan Wells being last seen on the island around 6 o'clock, 6:30. You had some that said they seen him around 3 o'clock, 3:30ish. Well, we got a new timeline, and we about to go over here to Nancy Grace and check this out. Let's go.
What is in that autopsy?
Now I really want to see the other autopsy to see, is there trauma to the body? Is there something that happened?
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
I have no doubt that what we're listening to and what she did is credible.
Not only has the timeline been analyzed by the Cajun Navy, the U.S. Cajun Navy, based on all sorts of statistical data, new photos are emerging. Take a look at this photo before we go to the Cajun Navy. Look at this. Check out what you're seeing. Look at all the boats surrounding where Nolan was. Leave up the photo out to Caitlin Becker, senior national correspondent, New York Post, star of New York Postcast, their new podcast. Caitlin, what are we seeing?
We seeing a whole lot of boats lined up, look like some tied together in the same spot that Nolan Wells was last seen at. You have all these people. You mean to tell me that there's no witness? All of a sudden, new photographs is coming out. We haven't seen this photograph until now. New photos is coming out. So I'm pretty sure there's more videos, there's more photos, but it seemed like nobody is releasing them. However, they got this one. Now, we also seen Nolan Wells' friends started Go and Save, a GoFundMe type account. The last time we seen it, I think they raised $62,000. They was asking the goal was $200,000. They have already surpassed over $120,000. And that's all to make sure that the people that's on the internet covering this won't talk about it. Defamation of character. They trying to keep it silent. They don't want nobody to push this envelope because this could solve. The internet is solving the case more than what we seeing they doing. Or I'm not going to say solving it, but it's definitely giving them clues to what's going on.
Well, what we're seeing here comes from this new report from the United Cajun Navy, and you're seeing several boats strung together. This is one of the first images that we've seen of this certain configuration of boats there. They're all identified, one of which was the boat that Nolan came out there on. There's several others kind of anchored with it and tied up, which begs the question of where was Nolan when this photo was taken, because it's unclear if he's actually in it. What time was this photo actually taken? So what you're seeing...
Is she talking like that on purpose, or that's just how the audio sound?
Here is, as you said, a potential pool of witnesses.
Hey, Caitlin, look at this. There's boat number 1. There's boat X. There's boat number 2. There's boat number 3. And there's a boat from which the photo is taken. Now, look in the water. There much has been made. Nolan Wells was drinking. Okay, well, apparently everybody was. They all have containers, open containers in the water. Okay.
That's not breaking the law. Everybody drinking. Okay, so what? He was drinking. But if he was drunk, then hey, man, you know, is an accident possible? Is an accident possible? Do y'all think an accident was possible? We're going to have to wait and see, y'all.
Hey, as far as I know, that's not a felony. Boat number 1, full of people. Boat X, full of people. Boat number 2, full of people. Boat number 3, full of people. People on the boat from which the photo was taken. Some of these boats tied together. You know what that means in my world, Caitlin Becker, joining us in the New York Post?
Witnesses.
Let me see, Caitlin, please. That means witnesses. See, when I look at that, I see witnesses. Other people say, hey, there's people having a good time. I see witnesses. Exactly. Do you see all those people?
And a lot of them.
Who were they? Have they been spoken to? Have they been polygraphed? What can they tell me?
Right. All those people. All them people that we just seen. Nobody came forward and said anything about nothing. Now, an accident was in the talks. People saying it could have been an accident. But the only thing that ruins that theory is that phone conversation. The phone conversation that was made for the help for the boat, for the rescue team to come help them because their boat was sinking, we did hear Nolan. Now we got to wait and see if that's original audio that been cleaned up, the cleaned up version that we seen. So we waiting. The lawyers do have it. So we waiting to see what the experts going to do and give us the full audio. I think that audio is going to be the major crack in this whole case.
That is the question, right? We don't know from an investigative standpoint who has been spoken to, exactly who is in this photo, and what they have or haven't told law enforcement, because there hasn't been really any transparency there. But from what our reporting has showed, there have been dozens of people who have spoken to law enforcement as witnesses. But Nancy, we don't know if it's any of these people that you're seeing in this little cove area right here. And the timing, I think, is really important because these images are taken right around, I think the timeline's about 3:30-ish, 4:30-ish, when the boat that Nolan came out there on leaves and starts taking on water. That's one of the pegs for the timeline. When these photos were actually taken, that is a peg for a timeline. But what we don't know is where.
There go Nolan right there on that boat. That's him right there. They got to find out what time that was.
Where Nolan is, there he is. You can see that image right there. But we don't know is where Nolan was when that first image that we saw with all of those boats kind of tied together, when that was taken.
You are seeing a photo obtained by our friends at the United Cajun Navy. And speaking of the United Cajun Navy, joining me now is Brian Trasher, Vice President, United Cajun Navy. And for all of you attacking the United Cajun Navy, let's see that aerial footage they provided us. This is from the Cajun Navy describing their search, their aerial search. They spotted Nolan Wells' body. They have been integral in the search for Nolan Wells and helping elucidate the facts as we know them. Brace yourself, Trasher. Everybody else is getting death threats. You might as well join the party. To you, Brian Trasher.
And everybody is getting arrested. We just seen 3 people get arrested so far for making online threats. But we haven't seen nobody get arrested for threatening Nolan Wells' mother. She been getting a lot of them.
The United Cajun Navy has come up with a timeline. Now, did I hear Caitlin Becker from the New York Post correctly that that photo where the boats are named Boat 1, Boat 2, Boat 3, and Boat X, is that from you guys, the United Cajun Navy?
First of all, I want to thank you for calling this report what it is, and that's a timeline. And some people have called it an investigative report, and that's not accurate because, as you know, we're not investigators. And what we did, Nancy, was we asked our followers, say, hey, if anybody was there that day, you have pictures, videos, whatever, send it to us just so we can go through it, see if there's anything relevant. We took all that information and compiled it into just one digestible report of things we thought were relevant and could be helpful. Maybe they're not. Maybe law enforcement's already seen all this and it's...
Wow. So this is the Cajun Navy. They working on the timeline. These are the guys who found Nolan Wells' body. They the ones who showed us the area from the helicopter. So they asked their audience to send them pictures, photos. Can y'all send us photos, any pictures that y'all have of that day on the 4th of July? You had people that sent in photos. Why the police department, the sheriff's department, not doing this? Why they don't have any photos? Why they don't have any? Why the lawyers don't have any of this? Why nobody sending this to Ben Crump? It's crazy, man. Let's get back to it.
And it's nothing new to them, but we just wanted to be transparent about what we received. So going back to your question, the pictures that we received, we did not, as an organization, take any of these photographs. These are all images that we received from people who were trying to help us out and trying to help Nolan's family out. So
you asked the public for help, and you got it. You got a treasure trove of photos, and I find this one significant. Guys, we've got an all-star panel, and I would like the all-star panel to look at their screens because I've talked about this before, Brian Trasher, and I'm frankly fed up with attacks on the United Cajun Navy. They're doing something, which is more than all of the haters can say. They're doing something. They have amassed evidence. They have created a timeline to the best of their ability. They have shared it with us, unlike the autopsy that is complete is being kept secret from us. That said, they're helping. Why trash them? That's, I'm not a shrink. I can't answer that. Let's look at this photo and determine what, if anything, we can discern. Brian, you and I have talked many, many times, and I told you about a serial killer I finally convicted on one case. The jury convicted him. And I proved a lot because of one earring. One earring I found in a particular location. The victim was wearing an earring, and the other earring had been sliced out of her ear, and I found it somewhere else, and I learned a lot because of where it was.
The same thing with these pictures.
Now, don't even bother to tell me that this photo that you have produced is not probative of something. The cluster of boats. Number one, I see a lot of witnesses. Trasher, do we know what time this photo was taken?
We don't know definitively times on all these because even though they're time stamped, it could be a time when it was screenshotted, stamped, not necessarily the original photograph. So we were very careful to denote that in our report that we can't verify timelines, although based on shadows and positions and things like that, we can determine that some of these, as noted, are taken in the late afternoon. One of the things I thought was interesting about some of these photos we got, Nancy, was that a lot of the photos we had seen before were people like in waist deep water. Well, some of the photos we provided show people up, water up to their chest, almost to their neck, and that's not really wading. That's treading water, in my opinion, and that I thought might have been significant to know that many people were, perhaps enjoying some libations, but also in water that might have been a little too deep just to be playing in.
Good point.
So all them people that's there, if Nolan Wells did have an accident, y'all don't think that some of those people would have seen him if it seemed like he was drowning? So you mean to tell me it sounds like the videos that we've been seeing is like he was the only one left there. Everybody left. He couldn't get a ride. He was the only one on the island.
You also said something else really smart, and I certainly do not want to rely on this, but sometimes you have to, you take the evidence as you find it, and you make the most of what you've got. You said you could tell this was late in the afternoon because of the shadowing. I wonder if the tide could tell me anything, because how high up the water is. But these people holding drinks, they're not treading water, Trasher. They're standing there. These people are not treading water, and the water is up to their armpits. Is that the photo you're talking about as to where you think some of them are treading water, or are there other photos?
The photo at the top, yeah, you're right. It's about up to their armpit. I think there was one later in the report that that showed some of the kids. This was a screenshot of a social media post, and there's 3 boats visible, one fourth boat further in the distance, but a lot of kids on one boat. I say kids, young people on one boat, some on the boat, some in the water, and some of them it looks,
It said he was nowhere in sight around 7:30 when we left.
Maybe up to the armpit, but some of them, depending on their own height, it looks like it's, I could see a girl holding something in her hand, and the water looks to be pretty close to her neck. So that's pretty far out. Now, we've said several times that Horn Island has a very aggressive slope, so you can be in shallow water and deep water within just a few steps. And once you get into that deep water, you're not as able to keep your feet on the ground if a current comes and pulls you, or God forbid a riptide comes and drags you. So that's why we thought it was significant to know that they were socializing in fairly deep water.
Can we go back to the main photo where the boats are numbered 1, 2, 3, X? Isn't it true, Brian Trasher, that these boats are easily identifiable by I call it a tail number, like you would a plane? Every boat has to be registered, or supposed to be registered. It has a
Talk that talk.
A number on it. It often has a name like Triton. One was named Mac Daddy. There were other names. They're registered, and you know who the owner is, and the owner can tell us who was on the boat that day. Is that correct?
Theoretically, yeah. If you can make out the registration number or the name of the boat, if the vessel's name is registered, along with the registration number. Usually that's sometimes only on a Coast Guard document, but sometimes on a state registration you do put the vehicle, the boat name if it's asked for, or if you have one. So that is all possible. I'm told, and we're asked to compare notes with the sheriff's office, which we're doing. But I was told that there's been a lot of people that have been contacted and interviewed, and there's a lot of people who were there that day that voluntarily came forward to tell what they know.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
And because they might have seen their boats and pictures, said, "Oh, we might want to go ahead and call them and let them know."
All right, so this boat right here, this is the boat that Nolan Wells was last seen on right here. This might be the last picture of him on this boat right here. Say Daddy something. I don't know if it's Mac Daddy or the Daddy. But who is this guy that's on this boat? We need to find out who boat this is and who is this guy, what time this picture was taken, because this is the last photo that they have of Nolan Wells. So they need to figure that out. Who is that guy? And there was other people on that boat, on the front of the boat.
Where we were, who was with us, and what we know.
Right there. So it's other people that you can see on the boat as well. These two, who is these people on the boat that he was on, and why was he on this boat? That's what they need to figure out.
So I commend those people for coming forward, because it's not always easy.
To Marie Pereira joining us in addition to the Vice President of the United Cajun Navy, who has been there from the get-go trying to help solve the case. Marie Pereira, registered nurse, which is important. But she is a criminal defense attorney and domestic violence expert. She is a violence expert certified advocate. Marie, you saw that. All those people in my book are witnesses. One of them is saying at 7:30, Nolan was nowhere to be seen. Now, I want to...
Right, so if Nolan was nowhere to be seen at 7:30, nowhere on the island at 7:30, right? Which means the last person that said they seen Nolan Wells, I believe, was the coach around 3 o'clock, 3:30. So somewhere between 3:30, and we know he was nowhere on the island at 7 o'clock, and you got a whole lot of people still there. Nobody seen him. Out of all those people, as somebody was drowning, you help, help, help. All them people that was in that area, all the way down.
See the video or the photo again, because you want to tell me that this guy, Nolan Wells, hit his head and drowned, and none of those people saw what happened?
Exactly.
I find that...
There we go. There we go. She doing a good job, man. That's the $1 million question right there, y'all. The $1 million question. The boy was nowhere seen after 7 o'clock. 7:30. Nowhere to be seen. Nobody seen him. Nobody seen him between these hours right here. So that's the new time stamp, the new timeline. 3 o'clock-ish, 7 o'clock. It's a 4-hour time frame, and you still have people there.
Really hard to believe.
It is hard to believe, and that's why it's extremely important that the law enforcement are not too proud to get help from the public. Like you said, if people are sending in videos, they should be using those videos to conduct further investigation.
But they not. It don't seem like it. This is my thoughts, what I think. I don't know what they doing, but it ain't no conversation, no talk about it. But we surely is getting arrested. A guy from California, a woman from, I forgot what she was from, Florida, I believe. A new arrest. So they're arresting everybody else that's making threats, but they not taking none of these pictures in consideration. That raises an eyebrow.
Praying that this is a situation like Brian Koberger, where the police department, they were being ragged and being called ranky-dink police, while all the time they were investigating and putting together a case against him. I hope that Yeah, because all the time they were saying, "Oh, what are they doing?" It was I think the DA had a long, big beard, which wasn't very conducive to believing he knew what he was doing, but they knew what they were doing.
I know, it looked like Leonard Skinner sitting there. Hey, that videos from Officer Tatum's podcast. All this means witnesses to me. And do you remember in the Diddy case, there was actually a toll-free number for victims to call? There were that many victims. Not that it helped at the trial, but that said, I think there needs to be a toll-free number. If you think you have evidence, dial the number. If you have,
yeah, they had a number for Diddy. She's right. I'm gonna do a part 2 on this. I'm gonna follow right up with a video at the end of this video. I'm gonna load them up at the same time. So I'm gonna put another. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put it up a little later. So I'm gonna do a part 2 to this. If it's done, if I already have it done, then I will put it at the end of this one where you guys can watch it. But I'm gonna come back to this. So what do y'all think? What do y'all think? We got a timeline now, y'all. We have a timeline. And like I say, nobody out of all those people heard him talking. This is why it's good to share these videos. It's good for people to see it. People are sending their pictures in, sending their videos in, everything that they have that day. People are starting to send them in, and we seeing it right now. And them pictures they're going to help. But like I say, what's going to be the big break in this case is that audio. We got to find out if that audio is authentic. Not the first recording, the second one. We got to find out if that's actual, because you don't know. You can't put nothing past nobody, man. I'm not saying that it is not, but that audio, if that's the real audio, once they clear it up and we hear the same thing that we heard on the second person who did the mixing on the audio, if they could get that cleared, then that's going to be the big break. Because I think, what time did they leave? I think Warren them said they left like around 4 o'clock. I could be wrong. But all that's adding up. So if they didn't see him 7:30, nowhere around there, last seen him at 3, the time that they left, and we heard them yelling his name on that boat, then that's a clear indication that something is going on. We got to just wait and see what's going to happen. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Share the videos. Compton Rick Rock with Compton Rick Rock TV. I'll catch all of y'all on the next reaction.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, Compton Rick Rock TV. Also, hit that notification bell and catch every video when I drop.